When she died in 1967 in a terrible car crash at age 34, Jayne Mansfield had become a symbol of the awakening American attitudes about sexuality. She had also become a victim of the excesses of the town which created her, Hollywood, USA. Like Marilyn Monroe, Mansfield died young, but where Marilyn had become a living tragedy, Mansfield remained until the end a party for the press.
There was one day we went out to make a tour of 4 different fish and poultry places that were opening around town, and she was scheduled to cut the ribbon at each one of the various stores. The only thing she didn't do when she was in front of the press was act real smart, but this woman was smart.
She was smart enough to land herself in some fairly high-rent company in her films, with Cary Grant in a film titled Kiss Them For Me, and with Tony Randall in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter. Randall saw in Jayne a woman intent on exploiting her own talents.
She was very proud of her full figure. There was a scene in those days, of course, they didn't show as much as they do now, and she was in a bubble bath, and they kept pumping up the bubbles from the side, and each time as the cameras would start to roll, she'd go.
Even Mansfield's marriage to muscle man Mickey Hargitay was a constant publicity show, but Jayne's fans didn't want her married. Hargitay found out the hard way at Bob Hope's USO shows.
He said to me, "Why don't you ever introduce me, you know?" So after she appeared, I said, "I want you to meet her husband, Mickey Hargitay." And he walked down, and he never heard a boo like that, because everybody had a little dream about her, you know. And here's her husband. He never asked me again.
She walks by, the men folks getting grown. Can't help it, well, can't help it.
The publicity machine named Mansfield cranked on even after the career had run off its tracks. Her prodigious profile was still good for a magazine cover, even after her films flopped. And when her marriage went sour, who was first to know? Not her husband.
I think a press called me and they said, "You know, your wife filed for a divorce." And I said, "No." Did she?
Another blow in the downward spiral, the death of Marilyn Monroe. It turned Mansfield's career into a cruel caricature of a dead woman.
When Marilyn died, it was very difficult for Jayne. She didn't want to keep playing the squeaky blonde roles anymore, and so she was having to resort to appearing nude in pictures. Like Promises, Promises was the first film to ever feature a well-known movie actress topless, and that was Jayne.
So the one-time happy wife and mother had descended into softcore pornography. In the last years, she kept company with her lawyer and lover, Sam Brody. Some say she had even gone for answers to the Church of Satan, a bizarre ritualistic cult, and that Brody did not approve.
He had taken some pornographic pictures of Jayne and was holding them for blackmail, so that if he would say, "Well, if you don't stop your involvement with the Church of Satan, then I can publish these pictures and you'll be found an unfit mother and your children will be taken away from you."
Some reports have suggested that Mansfield was cursed. The Satanists claim the curse was on their enemy, Brody. He died with Mansfield in the crash which killed her.
Within a year, this car accident that is so notoriously the curse on Jayne was in fact a curse on Sam Brody.
The legacy of Jayne Mansfield, which remains today, is this memorial stone in Hollywood. The odd Mansfield imitators like Angeline and Edie Williams. The memories of those who loved her. And the laughs she left us, largely at her own expense.
Oh, my faithful owner!
You know, this isn't such a bad part.
Little things mean a lot.
The stone placed in memory of Jayne Mansfield in Hollywood Memorial Park is maintained by members of her fan club. It lies near the graves of Cecil B. DeMille and Tyrone Power.